Morning everyone, my name is Audrey. I'm stitchywitch42 here on FlossTube and over on Instagram. See the smile on my face? Mark had to go to work today. I have the house to myself. I get to clean it. Remember last video? Bad wife? Yeah. He told me he had to go to work today and I was like, oh, I am so sad, honey. No, not really. He works for a paving company, so when he starts work at the beginning of the year, it can vary depending on the work that they have available, anywhere from February to May. I love my husband. I really, really do. Even if I giggle when they're over in Eastern Oregon and they're cold, but I do love my husband. But I am so happy when he goes back to work because that means I get a day to myself, and I'm not apologizing for that. If you're married, you know you need alone time sometimes. Yeah. Anyway, today is Monday the 10th of April 2023. It is a little bit warmer outside today, but it has been raining It's been raining for the last couple of weeks, which is not unusual for Oregon. The temperatures being this low are still unusual. Last week I went up to a friend's house and I passed a car that had snow on it. It's April. Anyway, thank you all for the comments that you left on my last video. I have to tell you, honestly, when you comment on my videos and you tell me that I made you smile, words, my mouth isn't working. Maybe because I'm too excited that I have the house to myself. When you leave comments telling me that I made you smile or I made you laugh, you make my day. Seriously, you make my day. So, thank you for all of the comments about the story, for being concerned about my children, my husband and my son. Yeah. I got a comment from a lady who was over in La Pine, and she said that that weekend they had 10 inches of snow over there, so it's a good thing Mark and Philip came home when they did. The second comment left on my video last week was from my son Philip. He goes, I cleaned up my stuff the next day, Mom. He watches my videos, or at least he watched the beginning of the video. Anyway, I've got a bunch of things to share today. I've got the house to myself. I want to get this out of the way so I can come in and clean up the stuff and enjoy the house being clean until Mark gets back home. And just so you know, right here, his sleeping bag is still here 2 weeks after he got home. I just got him to get the camping gear, the kitchen gear out of my kitchen yesterday. It's a thing. It's a thing. All right. Where to start? What to do? How do we do this again? Yeah. Last Thursday, I went up to Acorns and Threads. Haven't been there for a couple of months. Wanted to go up for First Thursday. I wanted to go up to find out what was in my bag because we have a group chat on Instagram between Anna, Cheryl, Janine, and myself. And I know Anna kept saying, we need this in our bag, we need this in our bag, we need this in our bag. So I went up to Acorns and Threads, and the first thing I had to do was find out what was actually in my bag because I didn't know what I had ordered for Market. So I want to show you an old bag that I made, oh, 4 or 5 years ago at least. This is my Acorns bag. And if you visit Acorns and Threads, you can get this pattern for free. It's a Beth Twist design. It's exclusive to Acorns and Threads, and you can stitch it up however you want. The floss that I used here, the first time I went to a stitching weekend with girlfriends was up at Lisa Smith's house, Kindred Stitcher, and Lori Textilist was there, and Lisa's sister Carrie was there, and Michelle Farm Girl. And we were having a blast. There may have been some drinking involved, but Lisa and Lori decided to dye some floss and some fabrics while we were up there. And this floss here, the one that says Acorns and Threads and my name down here, stitchywitch42, this is floss that they dyed. And they were using salt to set the color. I want you to know that when I was stitching this piece, and I'm a floss licker, I figure they'll be able to tell my work in the future by my DNA because I'm a floss licker. This floss was so salty. But I absolutely love it. I stitched this piece up. I decided to make a bag out of it. And so when I go to Acorns and Threads, I take my Acorns and Threads bag that I got. I always have this one inside of it to put my purchases in because it's just the right size. And it's full. So what was in my bag that I didn't know was in my bag that may or may not have been suggested to be put in there by Anna? The first one is Summer House Stitchworks Superior Bees. I like this pattern. I love steampunk. And some steampunk patterns that I've seen, they're like, yeah, okay. I like this one. Look at that beehive. That is just so cool. So that's in there. Okay. So another one that she put in there is a Lucy Beam pattern. This is Immortal. So I'm going to stitch this one. I don't know when. But I think it was Anna who, misreads patterns all the time. She thought this said bind cross stitch like I'm immoral. Not immortal. I think I might have to stitch it like this and leave the space for the T but not stitch the T, because that suits my humor. Honey Fair. So now I have Strawberry Fair and Honey Fair. Way behind on stitching neither of them. And one that I knew, honestly this is the only one that I knew I had asked for. This was Brenda Gervais, the Pennsylvania Dutch Tomato Pin Keep. But they kitted it up for me. So I've got the floss, the wool, the little stand to put it on. I am looking forward to doing that. I don't know why, but I want to stitch patterns that have tomatoes. It seems to be a thing in my brain. The other thing that I bought was I had to kit up for a pattern, and I'm just going to show you the fabric I got, which is a 32 count antique white lugana. I've already cut my piece out for my stitched piece, but we'll get to that because I think it's on the bottom of the pile. And there is a pile next to me. Anyway, I bought a big piece of white because it's always good to have white on hand. You know, you can dye it if you want to. You can use it as is. The other thing that I got at Acorns and Threads was a freebie pattern, also by Beth Twist. This is the logo for the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. And it's not very big at all. About 56 by 60 stitches. I'm thinking it would be fun to do this on perforated paper. But that wasn't all that I got up at Acorns and Threads that day. If you remember a few months ago, I talked about Peggy, who had given me some of her great-grandmother's cards from a scrapbook. With the scrapbook pages, she brought me another huge bag full of pages and with cards and oh my gosh, so much goodness. So I was sitting up there and I pulled out a stack of them and I'm looking through all these cards and everything, and these cards are from the 1940s, 1950s. So they're 70 to 80 years old. And the scrapbook paper, first of all, it's gorgeous paper. We don't find paper like this anymore unless you know, pay lots of money for it. But it's this mellow golden color, and the texture and the feel is just so wonderful. But because it's so old, it's brittle around the edges. And I ended up with crumbs of paper all over my shirt, all over the table I was sitting at, all over the floor. They knew where I was sitting by the time I was done looking at all of these. But I took them out yesterday and I separated all of these cards and all the stuff that was in there into piles so that I could sort through to see what I'm going to use from them. And there's so much good stuff in there. But there's stuff in there that I know that I will never get to use. There are some cards that have cats and dogs and ducks. There are religious cards. There's some Christmas cards. There's some St. Patrick's Day cards that I know I will just not use. And I know that Peggy gave them to me because she's going through sorting things to what she wants to keep, what she could give to me, and then if I didn't want them, they would go on to Goodwill before they went to the trash. I have a stack of cards that I know I'm not going to use, so if you're at all interested in paper crafting, leave me a note in the comments down below. I would love to share some of these with you. Just give me an idea of what you're interested in. The Christmas, the religious, the animals, floral, and I'll put together a bundle and send them out to you. I would like to share them so that they don't end up at Goodwill or in the garbage, but if nobody takes them, they will be going to Goodwill. And thank you again, Peggy, for thinking of me and sharing them with me, because I feel so honored, and I loved going through and just looking at all of these, and I know some of them are going to end up being used. I'll be fussy cutting things out and putting them on some of my floss books that I need to get started making again because I have a retreat to pay for. When I said that I signed up for Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit last time, it was a blonde moment. I signed up for the Zoom retreat, but fortunately Janine was able to switch me, and I get to go to the live retreat. I got my hotel room booked. I'm ready. I just have to start selling some floss books to pay for it. All right. Have a finish. So last Monday I got to go up and stitch with the local cluckers. Next month in May we're gonna have a major cluck up. The ladies from Washington are gonna come down and join us. So I was up at Anna's house on Monday, got to see all the remodeled stuff being done around the house. It's gorgeous. And again, it was Anna, Cheryl, Janine, and myself that were there. The local cluckers were all here in Oregon. I dropped some floss on the floor. So since Anna was picking on me and wanting to know why I only took large items with me when I went to stitching meetups, I decided to take something small with me, something that I hadn't been stitching on for a while. I started this last September. It's the Scarlett House Sewwitch. I started in September and then I put it away, and I don't know why I put it away because I really, really liked the pattern, but I took it with me and then I was like, why did I put this away? It's a small pattern. It's a cute pattern. I need to get it finished. And it is. So this is my version of Sewwitch. And the fabric is just folded up behind it. It's not fully finished at all. But this is just so stinking cute. I need to find a frame for it. I haven't measured it yet to figure out what size frame I need, but I need to go out and I need to find a frame for it. Now, on the pattern, it shows it with real buttons on it. On the pattern itself, where the buttons are at, they're actually cross-stitched. I decided to do like the picture and add my own buttons. The other thing I changed is on the spools of thread on the corner. Those were all cross-stitched too. I did satin stitches. So she is done. She is pretty. And she has a tomato in it. Yeah, she has a tomato in it. So I know I have another piece that I finished not too long ago that has a tomato in it. I might be starting a collection of tomatoes. Yeah. At Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, whether you go live or on Zoom, they're doing an exchange this year, and it's not mandatory to participate, but if you do participate, the stitched piece has to be smaller than 60 stitches by 60 stitches. Something like this would work. And it's just the finished piece. We're not supposed to add any goodies or anything like that, just a finished piece. I'm thinking that little tomato and strawberry right there would make a really cute small. So somebody might be getting a tomato from me at the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. We shall see. I have an extra piece of fabric from that piece, so I could do that. And I have an idea of how I would finish it. I didn't stitch on this one, but I was looking at it and I realized that I have an issue. So, Erica Michaels, Bristol Berries II. This is the one that I've stitched one in red, I'm stitching one in blue, and I'm going to stitch the third one in green. The last time I showed it to you, it looked exactly like that. I haven't done anything on this one. But when I was up stitching with the ladies, I had realized something the night before or a couple of days before. And this is a lesson that I learned and I'm hoping to pass on to you. I like to take my fabrics, and I don't necessarily cut them down to the size for the piece that I'm stitching on, especially if I know I'm going to be stitching several things from one pattern on one scrap, or one piece of paper, one piece of fabric. I am stitching on fabric. Yes, I've had coffee this morning. It didn't have any extras in it. Anyway, what I do when I'm stitching on one like that is I will take this side and I will wad it all up, and then I will use my magnetic silicone ties and I will wrap it around here so that this fabric is held together, because that's the way I'm holding it when I'm stitching it. I noticed that there's some pinking around the red here, and the only thing I can think of is that by holding it in my hand, sweat may have caused some of the red to run. I am not going to wash this. I am not going to put it in water and see if I can remove the color at all. I'm afraid. I am afraid that if I do that with this red, my whole piece of fabric is going to go pink, and I don't want to do that at all. So I'm going to finish it the way it is. This afternoon I'm actually going to go cut this one off. I've got the blue one to finish, and I know that there's enough space down below here that I can get the green one stitched too. But I have definitely learned a lesson, which is why when I bought the white lugana, I cut out what I needed for the piece that I'm stitching on it before I started, because I've learned my lesson. Hopefully I can help you avoid learning that same lesson. Alrighty. So, one piece that I've been working on, and I've shared this with you, Anna had given this to me. This is Boo, I guess. It's called Boo. This is MamaWitchXstitch, this one here. And I told you that I had named them. He's Hector, she's Hortense, he's Herschel. And I was asking everybody for names for Grandma. Have a list of them. When people would suggest a name, I would occasionally ask them how did they come around to that name. So I got some great ones. Granny Cobweb, Grandmama Crumbly, Cosby. Then there were all the H names: Hepzibah, Honora, Hermione, Hester, Hazel, Hecate, and Hedwig. And I was asking people how they came up with these ideas. Some of them were a little bit more obvious than others. A couple people said Grandmama. And I thought, well, yeah, that would be good, but I'm Grandmama. So, no, Grandmama won't do for them. And then somebody suggested Morticia, or her cousin, but they couldn't remember the cousin's name. I do. It's Ophelia. And I thought about that one for a long time. But then this one lady came up with a name, and it was her grandmother's name. And I thought, you know how it is when you're looking for something and you find something that's just right? This one was just right. So, here's Hector, and this will be Wilhelmina. So, thank you, Malene, for suggesting your grandmother's name for me. I love it. And when they are all done, I will have Hector, Hortense, Herschel, and Wilhelmina. And this is where I'm at with Boo from MamaWitchXstitch. I think this is just so cute. Alright. Move a couple things around here. On my last video, I was talking about stitching a piece that had been designed because of my public service announcement, Don't Feed the Trolls. Kimberly, who is Daisy Joe Designs, designed this pattern. And seriously, it's cute. It is really stinking cute. I love the border. I love the trolls. I thought, I need to stitch this. She charted it all in 310 black. I think it looks great that way, but that's not the way I see it. So when I was up at Acorns and Threads, I asked Janine to help me. And I've shown pictures of these flosses, and I'll share them with you here. Oh, the bag that I'm keeping it all in I got from Vicky's Stitchin' Buttons, but I thought it was the perfect one for this project. Stamp out bullying. Scammers, bullies, yeah, they're all one and the same. So what I envisioned in my mind with this piece was that the border would be stitched in one color, and the color that I chose for that is Gentle Arts Brown Bear. So I got 2 skeins of Brown Bear, and when I was looking at them, you know how when you buy variegated flosses, you're going to get variations in the variegations. The one skein of floss is more of a darker brown with a little bit of the light brown in it. The other one has more of the light brown in it. So what I'm doing is I took 1 6-strand length out of this, divided it into 3 because I stitched 2 over 2. And I stitched 2 lengths of this one, and then I switched to a length of this one. And then I stitched 2 lengths of this, and I've switched back to this. So that way, even though they're not quite the same, they will blend together quite nicely. For the trolls, I needed to have some variation here, and again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the variegation on this, because showing floss on floss tube is just, you know, it's floss hanging on the screen. You can't really see it. But for Paw Patrol, I decided to go with Gentle Arts GAST threads, Garden Gate. Momma Troll is Cobblestone, and the Youngling Troll is Sticks and Twigs, Classic Colorworks. See, it's a Youngling Troll, Sticks and Twigs. Right? But I knew the Don't Feed the Trolls, there's only one color that it could be. I actually looked at some other colors, and then I went back and I went and chose the one that I first thought it was going to be. It's DMC 666. Red. So, this is where I'm at. Like I was saying, with the Brown Bear, I stitched 2 lengths of it across here, and then I started stitching down this way. Then I switched over to the second skein of Brown Bear and stitched down here, and came back up here and started this inner border. Switched back to the original one, did some more over there, and came down here. And then I have one single little red stitch right here that is the beginning of the words. I love this, and I don't know if you can see the variegation in there at all. I'm looking at the screen on my camera and I don't see it, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I think this is a gorgeous border. So, one lady commented on my video and told me of an unfortunate incident that she had with the trolls, and she said that she had purchased the pattern, and I know that Anna has purchased the pattern. So if you're at all interested in stitching this, please go check out Daisy Jo Designs. She's over on Gumroad. Pick up your pattern of Don't Feed the Trolls, and if you stitch it and post it on Instagram, use the hashtag Don't Feed the Trolls SAL, and that's start along. It's not a stitch along, it's a start along. But that way I can see what you're doing if you are stitching this. I'd like to know what colors you pick out if you decide to do it monochromatically or however it is that you choose to stitch it. I just think it would be kind of fun. And it's a great way to remind people not to let the scammers get to you. Yeah. Okay. The last thing that I have to talk about today, because this is not going to be a long video, was the giveaway from last time. I went to pick winners this morning, and YouTube random comment generator has upgraded. You now have to purchase it in order to get it to pick out by a single word, and I'm not doing that. So I went back to doing what I used to do, and that's writing a list of people who have entered and then asking my husband to pick random numbers. So I told him, I sent him a text this morning because he's at work. I said, I need a number between 1 and 6. I need a number between 1 and 3. I need a number between 1 and 11. And he came back with 427. I know that meant a 4, a 2, and a 7. So, Blessed Thanksgiving is going to Teresa Laboda. She was number 4. Christmas is going to Jude Mack. She is number 2. And the Enchanter is going to number 7, who is Gail. Ladies, my email is always in the drop box down below. It's acwalster@gmail.com. Please send me an email with your name and your address so that I can get these sent out to you. If I have not heard from you by the time I do my next video, which is 2 weeks from now, I'll draw a new name and offer it up to the next person. I know, but seriously, these 2 weeks have passed by so quickly, and I've had so many different things to do, and I'm still not done with half of what I wanted to get accomplished. I don't have time to hunt people down for giveaways, and that's part of the reason why I don't do them very often. That and the fact that I forget that I want to, and I have a stack of stuff upstairs that I would love to be rehomed to somebody who will use it. So, that's everything I have. Live long and stitch on, my friends. Bye-bye.